Hey, you specialties, welcome to camp. Not your camp, by the way, but we are on location for the first time ever, in fact, here at the Barefoot Republic Camp on Amy Grant's farm, by the way.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, I mean, literally, I kind of feel like we should be doing that here, here in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, hey guys, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. What's up, man?
Hey, we'll start with you, Thomas, as we're good friends, and we'll work our way on down on who you are.
Yeah, I'm Thomas Rhodes, and I work here at Barefoot Republic as a creative director.
Friend of minus.
Yeah.
Friend of mine.
And I'm Tommy Rhodes. I'm the founder and director of Barefoot Republic Camp.
Pretty cool. And you are?
I'm Amy Grant, and I bought this farm back in 1994, and
Wow.
used it as a private retreat until about 3 years ago. I was driving around with my dad and two of my sisters, and I just felt like somebody had taken a pot that was simmering on the back burner and shoved it to the front burner.
Wow.
And I said, I feel like something's supposed to happen out here. I don't know what it is. And my sister said, well, just dream out loud. And I started dreaming all this stuff. What if groups came out here? What if we had a garden? What if? The whole time I'm just crying.
Wow.
We get to the top of the hill, and one of my sisters said, let's just get out and pray that you stay out of the way, Amy. The next week, I had breakfast with Tommy Rhodes.
And the connection how you guys had breakfast, can you tell that story? It's a powerful story.
Yes, Mac Hanna was a pastor, met Tommy. You were,
I was 15 years old when I met Mac, part
and
of his youth group.
yeah, and Tommy was, the wildest kid in the youth group, the one that comes from the roughest background that's not invited to anybody's house.
Is that Tommy?
And Mac took him in like a son.
Wow.
And so we all grew up. I'm, 10 plus years older than Tommy, but the preacher, Mac, said, I want you to meet Tommy. He's like a son to me. I want you to meet Tommy. I want you to meet Tommy. And years he said that, at least that many years? Oh, yeah.
Wow.
A long time. And I finally called Tommy because Mac was diagnosed with cancer. And it kind of went from bad to worse. And then all I could think of was, what gift can I give my friend that is toward the end of their life? And it would be to finally do what he's been asking me to do. So I called Tommy and said, we are not going to be meeting at Mac's funeral. I mean, at least let's go have coffee.
Wow.
And we had coffee, and I said, tell me about your life. And I should have popped popcorn. It was like a movie. I was just And by the end, he told me all about his idea for Barefoot Republic and the bringing people together from all backgrounds, which, I've been singing that song.
Yeah.
For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom his whole family in heaven and earth derives its name. And I'm like, you're getting the whole family together?
Wow.
Not just the good kids, not just the white kids, not just the rich kids, not
Yeah.
and it was unbelievable. And the first week that we had camp, this was new to everybody, but the first week we had camp is when the shooting happened.
Yeah. In Charleston.
In
the
Charleston.
Emmanuel AME Church, which my family's church. So
Yeah.
we were here that week, and my mind was blown. And I remember at the youth production, we just took time and prayed for Charleston, and just such a great moment. But it showed us that in this time, this is what really matters. It's that we are one. That we're living together in unity as brothers and sisters. There's no need for the hatred there, And
Wow.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the big lesson I've learned is everybody wants to belong.
Yeah.
It feels so good to be a part of something. And hobbies bring us together. Families bring us together. But the thing that galvanizes us is need. Need really brings us together.
Yeah.
And I need help with my newborn baby. I need help with this. I need help with my mom who has dementia. I need help. When you need help, you get really brave asking. And when we decided to do camp out here, I had to get really brave because we weren't even associated with the church. And Tommy was talking about multicultural, multi-this. And, my first comment to him was, you are hanging out with too many white people. And I'm telling you, every person of color that I met, everyone, I would go, hey, and I'd just start talking, and then the guy bagging my groceries walked me to the car, and he walked back in, and I went, man, he sure seemed like a special guy. And I walked back in and said, would you take a drive with me? I need your help.
Wow.
And it's been, it's been unbelievable. So I have a reason to push past the circle of people that I know, and to say I need help, because we want the leadership to reflect the camper, the mission, and in all kinds of ways. It's interesting because we have some children with physical disabilities, and this morning I was just thanking a longtime fan of mine who has cerebral palsy, walks with those sticks, and has a wheelchair, and 3 summers in a row she has come out here to serve at camp.
Wow.
And she said, you need leadership that reflects the student body. There are kids here, a couple of kids that have, and I mean, I saw her do a face plant doing one of the craft things, and she said, I'm good. They need to see somebody and go, I belong here.
Wow.
I belong.
Now, I will tell you, when we pulled up this morning, and to see the different backgrounds, the different cultures, I mean, it just did something to us as a crew, and I know Sabrina mentioned it too. Man, when you first saw it, like going from, hey, you can come to you can do this day one, what came through your mind, Amy, when you saw the family all together?
Oh, my goodness. It felt like love.
Yeah.
It felt like love. It felt like we were going, I know there's walls. You're uncomfortable with me. You're uncomfortable with me. Let's just take them down. How hard could it be? Let's just take them down.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of the counselors, because these are young high school kids that are, from all different backgrounds. Some of them high risk, some of them affluent, but at some point they've proven that they can accept responsibility.
Yeah.
And so we have welcomed these kids that are also in the process of life, coming in here, and to watch them rise to the occasion. I mean, those are the most impacted lives, I think, are the counselors, because we're teaching them to talk to each other with respect. It's the best birth control in the world, because they're all dealing with 5-year-olds going, nobody procreate. Please.
You can see it here.
Woo! This is not what we want.
Well, and this picture is new for them too. As you say that, I think through that,
Yes.
this picture is new for them because it's not out there anywhere. It's not modeled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in middle camp, so we're cool.
Okay,
You guys
cool.
keep on talking.
Okay, yeah. And also, there was one young man that came, and he has to take care of his younger sister a lot. But his mom let him come to camp. He's part of a program at an at-risk high school here in Nashville. And he was telling somebody, he just said, this is so different from keeping my younger siblings.
Wow.
Because that's just like, I have to do that. But here, everybody's going, good job, great problem solving, great. So something he's already good at, he's getting recognized for.
Wow.
Now,
Pretty cool.
Tommy, Amy's already shared her origin story of how this beautiful camp came to be. Now, can you kind of, focusing on the multicultural element, how you came up with that idea and, how it all came to be?
It's really just birthed out of my personal story. My testimony. Mac was the first person, that loved me unconditionally, and it was really uncomfortable. And asked him what was different about him, and he pointed back to the gospel, and he just walked it out. So it was an easy decision to make to follow Christ for me. And I grew up in a kid raising a kid environment, Japanese-American family, in an all black and white town. So I didn't really fit in on either side of the tracks. And as a new believer coming into Mac's church, it was a pretty homogenous, middle income, white church. And I had lots of questions about, my Japanese relatives and, who we were visiting on Tuesday and why we didn't pull into every neighborhood. We seemed to be selective in that. And just learning about Jesus and what he prayed for and just the unity that he desired in the body of Christ. I wasn't seeing that reflected in the church. And I just had a hunger for that just based on my upbringing and my longing for my family, to have a place in the kingdom. And so I really felt like, wow, if I ever start a summer camp, I really want it to look like heaven. And being a low-income student, growing up, I couldn't afford to go to summer camp. And at 20, I got to be a camp counselor at an affluent camp. And I thought, I'm not going to have anything in common with these kids. And all of my insecurities, were just on 10. And I walked into this environment, and they're like, hey, we're not going to have you teach tennis, which is comfortable. We're going to have you be in charge of a cabin full of kids. Wow. And I'm like, did you guys do a background check? Because somebody's going to die.
Oh, man, first.
Yeah. And I'll never forget. These 8 to 10-year-olds were so homesick. This camp was 2 weeks long, missing mom and dad, and it just broke down the walls really quick. And come to discover that a lot of these kids came from broken families, had experienced divorce, had experienced alcoholism and drug abuse and absentee fathers. And that resonated with me. And those were some of the why me questions I had as a young believer. And all of a sudden, God was using little pieces of my story, things that had wounded me, to speak truth and encouragement into this next generation of kids. And then to top it all off, they would go home and send me letters thanking me, and their parents would send me care packages thanking me. And I'm 20 and I'm insecure and I'm lost. I'm just wondering, God, what are you gonna do with me? I'm just a mess.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, He's starting to affirm these things in me. And all I could think about was, where was this when I was 8? I needed a college guy, not having a dad growing up. I needed a male role model in my life. Just give me the time of day, just pat me on the back and affirming me in any way. And I just felt like, why couldn't I do this? And I remember calling my mom, and I was like, Mom, I had a friend that went to this camp. Why couldn't I go? And she's like, have you asked them how much it cost?
Huh.
And I was like, wow. I went and asked that question, and I was shocked to hear how much it cost to go to this camp for 2 weeks. And so it just felt like there was something very, unjust and unfair about that. And that's where it all began. It wasn't called Barefoot Republic, but it was my heart to provide that same opportunity for kids like myself to be in a positive environment, away from the distractions of home, to where people could speak truth into their lives.
Pretty amazing. Now, Thomas, we've known each other for a long time, man, and it's always great to catch up with you, obviously. Almost a decade, by the way, that we still stay friends, which is pretty neat. I know, it's been a long 10 years.
He may be rethinking that.
And you're always talking about this camp, man. What makes it so special to you?
You've heard it, with these guys, but where else can you find a place, to me, where there's love modeled in this way, where it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter, if you're, what party your family grew up in. The only thing that really matters is the fact that there's love for you and there's acceptance for you, and especially right now in our culture, in our time, where there's so much just isolation and polarization. People, they're looking for, it seems like people are looking for reasons to separate, to hurt, to hate. And so what better message than love, and what better message than, or messenger than the Creator, God, through Jesus Christ. He's shown His love for us, and in the same way, Barefoot for me, it's been, like Tommy said, before it was called the camp, in the same sense, I grew up in a place where I grew up in the hood. I grew up in a place where I didn't grow up around, people of different, races, and we grew up poor. And so now, when I look at this camp, I go, I wish I would have had something like this when I was younger, because I probably would have stayed out of more trouble. Really, just in our reality, this camp has been just a core part of my life, a core part of my family's life and my heart over the past 12 years, because it loves like no other camp. And Tommy has modeled that. That's the cool thing about this. He has modeled that for us as staffers, as counselors. And so, for me, once again, the heart is that we get a chance to celebrate our diversity, versus isolate it, so.
It's pretty neat.
That's fantastic. Kind of building on that same question, you talk a lot about what polarizes us and what pulls us to different sides and the things that divide us. Now, why do you think it's so hard for the American church as an institution to unify and pull together in a multicultural venue kind of like this?
Yeah, I think we probably all could answer this question together,
Sure.
But for me, it's unfamiliar, because we do all grow up in different situations. We have different paradigms, so to speak, where we grow up around people that are like us, and so we feel more comfortable. And so you put that on the church. The church, unfortunately, is probably the most segregated institute that we have right now. You look at Sunday morning, and you got black church, you got white church. You've got your even churches that are meeting in specific areas. You still have like a Hispanic congregation that meets here, and so we are so separated as it is, and it seems like we should be the ones like showing people that we should be, how to be one, and so I don't know the answer, but I just know that it comes from us not being intentional. I don't think that the church is really intentional in doing that, and so that's kind of my perspective there.
Yeah, and I'd want to throw this back in. If you think about each church as a family, there are neighborhoods where families live in their own house and they're happy in their own house and they don't know their neighbors. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about churches as being it's just different families, there are neighborhoods where people really keep to themselves. And it's just a curious question to go, what makes people meet each other? I met all of my neighbors one time when the power went off on our whole street. Our whole street. And anyway, one of the transformers caught fire in a tree and we're all out there. And then we kind of start talking to each other. Wow. And, so it was like all of Nashville started meeting each other when the flood happened. Mm-hmm. So I hate to say this, but sometimes bad things help you to meet people. But I think what we've all had our appetite whetted by saying, what adventure could we create that would get people curious enough that they would say, okay, I might show up for that. I mean, there's just got to be some adventure in it. And I think, I'm going to tell you, every service person that's come out here, like the person that was from Home Depot that just this morning brought pallets because we're making stepping stones with the kids. He went, what is going on here? And we said, hey, while you're here, could you move a water tank for us? And he said, yeah. And by the time he left, he said, can my 4 kids come here next summer? Wow. Everybody that has shown up. And of course, I'm always saying, can we barter? Like, we'll give you a camp spot if you won't make us pay for your service. But what we've created here is a sense of adventure. And I think people want to be a part of the big experiment. Like, I think there's a way of saying something. We're going to try something. It might be a total failure. Mm-hmm. But what if we tried a community garden? What if we took the people in the recovery house and put them with the ladies from the junior league? I mean, anybody, it's just like, that's fascinating, is when you mix people up.
It's very fascinating, isn't it? Tommy, have you sensed that also, just the fascination of mixing people up together? What have you learned as the founder of all of this by mixing people up all together?
I think the main thing I've learned through Barefoot is Psalm 133 is true. It says it's good and pleasant when brothers live together in unity. Not visit together, but actually live together. And I think that's the opportunity that we have here. And in reference to the church and the camping community, they are very homogenous by design because they want to go, deeper with fewer. And they feel like the needs of the people are different, and they're going to dilute themselves as they start bringing together rich and poor, black, white, Hispanic, and refugee. But that's not been our experience at all. When you have a shared experience on a level playing field, and you're kind of coming into this like, what did my mom sign me up for? What did my youth pastor get me into? I mean, there's porta potties out here? It's like, what are we doing? And then they start living together and discovering how much they have in common, through the arts. I mean, through music, through doing stepping stones, through doing mountain biking, just all the different adventures that have been set up here. Climbing a tree, going 60 feet in the air. I mean, they're all scared of that.
I love it, though.
But yeah, they start hanging out in a tree together, and all of a sudden they have everything in the world in common. It's just like, how are we going to get through this together?
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the opportunity that the camping platform presents. And so in terms of, truly doing diversity and bringing people together from different backgrounds, I can't imagine a better platform than summer camp for that to happen.
Now, a couple more questions here. You're doing 19 of these this summer. That's a lot of camps, Tommy. Where can people go to get more information, basically, on it? And 19, are you sure about that? No. That's the other question I got for you. Man, where can people go to hear more about what you guys do?
Our website is barefootrepublic.org. So we have all the information there just about the mission and the different opportunities to plug in and serve. To that end, I mean, we're very multi-economic by design, very intentional. We reserve at least half our spots for low-income children like myself. And this year alone, we're going to award over $600,000 in scholarships. So you can sponsor a kid for $250, send them to camp for a week, which is incredible. We're going to have kids from about 48 different ethnicities at camp this summer. So tremendous opportunity there just to get involved. And, we feel like this is needed everywhere. We get the question a lot, have you tried this other places? And obviously we feel like reconciliation is the gospel. And different parts of the world, it looks different in terms of who you're bringing together. We've had people from Northern Ireland contact us in Quito, Ecuador, Jerusalem, Costa Rica. It's just like, wow, what if? And so we're just praying for other people that have this vision, to reach out to us and say, hey, what would Barefoot look like in our backyard? And so we're about 3 years into this duplication process in Southern California, and just so encouraged to see that the ministry is working, the core concepts that the Lord has refined through this ministry and people like Amy and Thomas and others that have come into it. It works.
It does work, doesn't
and it's just the gospel.
It does. Last question here, Amy. I want to get killed if I don't ask this from some of our fans, okay? How is Vince Gill doing? And is there any new projects coming out at all? That's, that was like one of our top 3 questions when we said, hey.
Oh, really?
what do you
Okay,
want to know?
great. Well, contrary to my love of camping, Vince is like, woo. He cheers me on from the air-conditioned home. Yeah, but he came out
He was out here
yesterday.
sweating yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm with Vince on that one. Like, where is the air conditioning at?
I know, yeah.
So this weather's good for golf.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, but yeah, so he cheers me on from home. But this summer he's doing 2 shows with the Eagles. And hopefully that will launch into a tour. It's a dream of his. He's 60. He's made music his whole life.
Wow.
But he loves that band and knew a lot of the guys. And when Glenn Fry passed, as
awesome.
sad as that is that he passed, it turned into an invitation for Vince to join the band. So he's happy.
Pretty. Any new projects coming out next? Anytime soon?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
No. You know what? I'm busy living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to live life to have something to write about.
Yes, that's
Wow.
very true.
So, yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, you opened up your farm to over 100 kids this week, Thomas. Is that correct?
225 this week.
225 this week. It's amazing
It
to
is.
me.
So impressed.
It's impressed. I know Spring and I are both talking about it, and I just can't tell you. I think of you. I already thought a lot of you already, but coming and seeing this, man, you become my favorite artist, literally, because of what I've seen. And I know we both have talked about this, and just thank you so very, very much. And Thomas, I got to tell you, I've been with you guys one other time before with a bunch of middle schoolers, which was really fun,
Right.
by the way.
Mine
And
came
so-
out and spoke at camp in Kentucky. So.
It was awesome. I mean, it really was. And Tommy, I've never met you till now, man. And man, thank you for what you're doing just for the kingdom in general. Can we pray for you? Is that okay before we close? Sabrina, do you
Thank you,
mind doing
guys.
that?
No, I will. Thank you. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for bringing us together here. Thank you for each boy and girl and counselor and adult and helper, anybody who has lent the hand and their heart to this wonderful camp, making it run smoothly each day, touching the hearts of these kids, and making a place where the kingdom of God can be manifest in all of its glory. I pray, God, that it will continue to be your kingdom here on earth. In your holy and precious name, amen.
Guys, once again, thank you for letting us come and crash your day of camp. It's been fun, right,
Amen.
Sabrina?
Thank you.
I think, can we stay longer?
I know.
I don't want to work it. I just want to have fun. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.